Hello, and thanks for joining me again for another bit repairs video. Going to be something a bit different this time. Sorry it's been so long since I've last done a video. Just not had a chance at all, but finally got me set up all up and running again now, and looking forward to showing you some more repairs. What I've got here today, it's getting a bit late, so I'll get straight onto it, and got a bit of a bad back, so I will get straight on and get this sorted. It's for a customer of ours. He asked if I could video it and send it onto the internet. So here we are, getting it done for you. It's a board from what looks like a Hyundai. It's a Hyundai Mobis logic board from an amplifier, I believe I've been told. So this is the board here. I'll just show you on the camera now if it'll focus. It's had water damage to the board, and I've been advised it's tried to be cleaned up and no success on there, so I'm going to have a little look myself and see where I can find on it. I've kind of pre-diagnosed it already, so I already know what the problem is, and I'll explain to you what the problem is. So what I can see here is the problem is near this chip up here. There's some water ingress along the top edge of it, and I believe it's where the through-hole vias go through from one side of the board to the other, and there's a disconnect between them. So what we're going to do, we're going to get straight onto it, and I will show you how we will go about reconnecting those vias if possible. There's an easy way and a difficult way, so I'm going to try the easy way first, and if that works, great. So if it doesn't, we will have to do a little bit of drilling through the board, cleaning up the holes to try and get those vias reconnected again. So what we need to do is, first of all, I will show you on the multimeter. So if I just go there, click onto the multimeter, continuity mode, and then we're going to just get the probes down here, and then I'm going to test if it, there we go, you can probably hear that beeping. So what you can hear usually is if you've got a connect between the top side of the board and the bottom side of the board, you'll hear there's continuity between them. So what you will find is around about here on these little tiny micro vias here, then there's usually a connection between the two. So there is no connection between the two sides of the board here. So what we need to do is get that back again. I'm going to switch cameras now over to the microscope view so that you can see what I'm seeing. So let me just switch the software over. I've not got all my cameras up and running yet, so hopefully if I switch over to here, go on to camera 2, let me just get it aligned first so that you can see it. Let me zoom out there. So you'll be able to see the water damage now on here. So let me switch over to camera 2. There we go. And program camera 2. There we go. So what you can see now is these are the vias. You can see that this capacitor here has sustained a bit of water damage. You can see it's gone a bit corroded on this side. But for all intents and purposes, these vias here look absolutely fine. You wouldn't really think there was any problem with it until you try and zoom in a little bit more. So let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to look in as close as we can on these vias to see what we can see, and then you'll be able to see that there's a disconnect between them. Let me just get the focus on this top camera. Looks like it's come a bit loose. There we go. So we've got focus on there, so I'm focused on my camera, on my microscope, and I'm also focused on there as well. So what you can see is on this top layer here, here's the trace on the top of the board there. So you should be able to see that. And then here, the very fine solder that runs through this hole through to the other side of the board, and you can see there's corrosion all the way around the perimeter there, which is stopping that through hole from making connection to the other side of the board. So I've already tested it, and I've tested that there is no connectivity at all between the two sides of the board. So I'm going to show you how I would go about reconnecting that via. Just got someone on message there, working late tonight. Yeah, unfortunately, I just got a little chance to try and have a look here, and just thought I'd try and get all my kit back up and running again. It's been down for quite a while, so yeah, nice opportunity, simple repair this, hopefully, to show you how it's done. So there's no connect between the two sides of the board here, so what I'm going to do now is, the easy way of doing it is basically grab some flux. I'm going to basically go here, I'm going to flux up this area of the board here now, and I'm just going to try and get solder into that hole. If I can get solder into that hole and get a connect between the two layers, then that should solve the problem with this particular hole. So if I can get the connect between the two layers, great. If not, I'm going to have to drill through the hole into the other side. So let me just get some solder. I'm going to give this a go, and all we're going to do is straight into here, straight down. I'm going to try and get some solder into there. You can see it's quite difficult. I'm getting a little bit around the edges. I think what I might do there first is I might just remove a bit of that solder mask first. So it's quite a sturdy solder mask you'll find on automotive parts. So they use a hell of a thick solder mask, like a conformal coating they use over the top of it. So there we go, you can see that's rubbing that away nicely now. So we're hoping here to try and get that reconnect between the two layers. I'm going to go for a thinner soldering iron. I'm going to go for my micro soldering iron here, so it's even smaller tip. So I'm just going to get that straight into there, and I'm going to see there, that's just filled that hole with solder. Okay, I'm going to leave it there to dwell for a little bit. There, I'm going to see if that's gone down into that hole now. So you can see it's filled that hole with solder. So what we're going to do now is, so I'm going to have a little look here. I'm going to just see if we've got connectivity between these two layers now. So the first way we're going to look is we're going to count how many across it is. So it's the first one basically we're looking at here. So we've got a hole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the sixth one there. So I'm going to switch cameras back again now so that you can see the larger camera. Just let's have a look. Program cam 4. There we go. So what we're going to look at here now is I'm just going to run from the opposite side of the board. I'm going to try and figure out where this is. So I believe it is from there. It's running from that side here, running through to the other side over to that hole there. So I'm going to get my probe into that hole. Okay, and I'm going to just probe it on the top now and see if we've got continuity. So have we got some continuity to the top of the board? See there, we got continuity. So that hole has now been reconnected between the top and the bottom of the board. Yeah, so we've got continuity there now, which we didn't have before. So we need to do the same with all of the rest of these holes now. I think it looked like there was about 10 of them that didn't have connectivity. Let's just have a little look at the chat, see what's going on there for a sec. Evening, Isaac. Glad to see you joining us quickly on the stream. Who's the other one? Still offering repairs through eBay? Yeah, I'm still offering them through there. Not so many through there now. A lot of it's going direct now. So it's the problem with eBay. There's so much competition on there. You have to offer things too cheap, and the quality of repairs I do are not kind of eBay quality. So yeah, I needed to go for higher quality repairs really, so that's what I'm trying to do now. For people that are more appreciative of the more complicated, difficult repairs. So I'm just going to switch back over to camera 2 now, so we can see, where are we again now? So we can see we've reconnected that first via. So we're going to go on to the second one now, which doesn't look too bad, but what you'll see there inside that hole, this second one, let me just get this. You can see inside that second one, it's been flowed into it with some conformal coating, so we want to try and get rid of a bit of that first. So let's just wedge that around inside that hole first. Nice thing about this automotive stuff is it's bloody massive in comparison to iPhones, so it's it is in a way a lot easier because you've not got the size aspect to deal with. So that's just been cleared out a little bit. Let's try and clean off some of this conformal coating first. So we can try and get a nice big blob of solder down in there once we've got this conformal coating away. So should help it to kind of flow down into that hole. There we go. So we got that one. Let's get our soldering iron again now, and let's see if we can flow some solder into that hole. So same again. Down here we got plenty of flux still on the board. Let's just get some solder, wedge it right down into that hole. So we're just filling that hole up with solder. Dwell there for a little bit, try and make sure it flows nicely into there. There we go. Okay, so it's filled that hole up with solder. Now let's check again. Let's make sure we got continuity, that the first one wasn't just a fluke. So testing again. Now we're testing from the top layer of the board. Switch back over to cam 4. So here we're just going to have a little look. Top layer of the board, bottom layer of the board. This time we're going to go on hole number 2. So whereabouts were we working? Bit difficult to see here, but let's see. So we had hole number 1 there. Going to go hole number 2 here. So let's see if we've got some connectivity there between that second one. Let's have a little look. There we go. Got continuity there between that second one. So no, wasn't just a fluke that. Got our second pad connected. So we're just working our way through now. We're going to do all of these pads. Make sure you've got plenty of flux on there. Flux is one of the key things that you've got to make sure you keep on this. No flux, no fix is basically the way it goes. So this second one, let's just clean this out a little bit. Sorry, the third one, let's just clean this one out a little bit here. So I'm going to try and get rid of any corrosion that's around there first. So looks like there's something being wedged into there as well, but we'll just stick our solder straight into that hole. Anything metal inside there is good. It'll all help. So same again, just going to try and push some of that solder into there. We're going to get some flux here, flux the area up. Okay, so go in again, and we're just going to get our iron. Going to go back onto the other view here. Where's the control? There we go, cam 2. You can see that what I'm looking at now. So we're on hole number 3 here now. Get the tip straight into there. Try not to stay for too long, because you'll basically burn the burn all the flux away. And the last thing you want to do is burn the flux away completely. There we go. We're getting a good little blob of solder there. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3 we've done now. So it's a little bit repetitive this now, to be fair. Once you've seen me do a few of them, then they're all going to be exactly the same. So we just need to go through one at a time. Once we've done all of this, we're just going to test it for connectivity for each and every single one. the main reason is because I don't have the car here to test this after it's been done. So the only way I can be sure that this is going to go back as a nice fix is to just test everything as best as I can, and then it goes back, wait for the feedback from the customer, and hopefully everything's going to be alright. So let's just clean this solder mask off here, this conformal coating away. Now it's very rare that you get these water damage on car boards, because they have this waterproof conformal coating on the top of them, which is supposed to stop this water ingress. It's supposed to stop all of this from happening, but it just looks like it's been there for water's been there a bit too long. It's just corroded away. It's eaten away at that conformal coating, and then it's eaten away at the solder mask underneath. So we're just going to go with this next one here. Same again. Wedge that down into the hole, bit more solder, and there we go. There we go, a nice little blob on the top there. So you can see we're building it up now. There's quite a few of these that are damaged on this board, so we do have to rebuild. We've got a few more over here. We've got one there that you see in the middle. We've got 3 more over there. We've got another one, possibly 2. I don't think there's that one. So we have got a few more to go. Doesn't seem to be any more over this neck of the woods. All that's kind of looking okay. So I think we've got 3, 4, 5, 6 more to go. We've done 4 of them so far. I could just try and wedge the iron into each one of these and just hope for the best, but really, when you've not got a way of testing the board properly afterwards, you're better off to hedge your bets and try and make sure that you've done a good enough job, done as good a job as you can. So I'm just going to try and get all of this solder mask out first, wedge this into the board as best as I can. So this wedging it into the board is cleaning up any corrosion that may exist in that hole first. So I'm going to get rid of some more of this conformal coating from around the edge. So that's making that nice and clean. That's that. I'm kind of just smushing some of that solder down into the hole, some of that solder mask, sorry, not solder mask, some of that copper down into that hole as well. Because if I can smush some of that copper down, it'll help us with creating that connection between the layers. So we're going to go again. Let's just smush that in. Bit more solder. Didn't seem to be enough that time. See there, it's not quite taken this time. So if it's not quite taken, probably not enough flux. So I'm going to stick a load more flux on this board now. You really do need flux. Flux is king. I can't possibly stress how important flux is to soldering, especially to stuff like this. So there we go. See that? I've added flux. That has basically just gone really nice now into that hole. Okay? Little bit of flux there. Now this last hole here doesn't look that bad actually. Looks like it's pretty good, so I'm going to be a little bit more gentle here, because if I can salvage what's already there, then if I can salvage the mask that's already there around the edge of this hole, then it's going to make my job a lot easier. So I'm just going to try and brush a bit of that away. Okay. See here, yeah, that there looks like there's plenty of solder already in that hole. So I am going to just gouge it out a little bit to see if I can get rid of any of that solder mask out that hole. So I'm just going to give it a quick flick around just to loosen it up and try and get it out, if there's any in there that I can get out. So I just got a little blob of it out then. A little more blob of it. Okay, so that's just roughed it all up. So if there's any kind of oxidation occurred on there, then that's just got rid of that oxidation. So we're just going to do this last hole here. See the way it goes when there's plenty of flux. You're just going straight into that hole, dwell a little bit, want to make sure it's flowed through. And there we go. Should be good. Just retouch up some of these again. Can never do it too much on these. So we're going to do each one of these holes one at a time. There we go. Right. So hopefully that's that area of the board sorted. You'll notice here now, if we zoom out a little bit there now, you can see how nice that is. There's a little blob on top of every single one of those. Going to look on the other side of the board, just see if it's flowed through on any of them. Some of them you'll notice it'll have flowed through maybe, but no, the board's way too thick. So this is the opposite side of the board where them vias are coming out on the other side. Now these blobs that are there, they were already there. The hole is what we're looking that goes through to the other side. So these holes here are the ones that are making their way through to the other side. Sorry, over here. This is where we are, in the wrong place. So these holes here are where it's making its way through to the other side. Yeah? So what we're going to do, you can see where I've tested against that one. We're just going to test each one of these now and make sure there's continuity between each of these layers. So same as we did before, we're going to get our probe, and I'm going to start at the far end now. So we're going to start on this top one here. So I'm just going to test against that one there. We're just going to test to make sure there's our continuity there. So number one, we've got continuity. Test number two to continuity. Yeah, number two, we've got continuity. I'll switch camera so you can see what I'm doing as well. Where are we? Switch camera to that one. You can see a little bit more about what I'm doing here. So I've tested the first two. So we're going to get our probe again here. Going to go over to number three. Okay, I'm just going to test again. Whether you can see, it's very difficult for me to. There we go. So we're testing there. So we're just probing between the two sides of the board. So we've got number four. I think I've slipped there off that test point. It's quite difficult to do it while you're on camera as well, because you're trying to get your alignment at the same time as being on camera. Where are we? We got that one. See, now that one may not be connected. So there's a chance there. There's a chance one of them might not be connected, but I have to be 100% sure. Let's just wedge that onto there, into that hole there. Okay. Don't believe that one's connected. So I'm not getting any beep between that layer. So there's a chance there that one of them hasn't worked. So the one that I think hasn't worked is this third one along. Now, the way I'm going to test it, it's quite glad this has happened actually, because what I'll have to do first is I'm just going to have to get some isopropyl. Just clean the board up a little bit, clean some of that flux off. And then I can see these pads a lot better again now, because I couldn't really see them before. So, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to count up from the bottom. Count up 1, 2, 3. I believe that's the one, the third one up from the bottom. And look on the other side. 1, 2, 3, third one up from the bottom, and that's the one I'm going to test now. So I'm going to make sure under the microscope I'm going to test that this is third one up from the bottom. So zoom out on here, I'm going to go third one up from the bottom, which is there. I'll look on the other side of the board now. Third one from the bottom. See, we're not getting continuity there. Okay, let's just carry on with the rest of them because we do want to test them all to make sure they're okay. So let's test that one. That one's okay. Let's test the first one. First one's okay. So third one from the bottom we're not getting continuity on. So we need to recheck that one again now. So again, I'm going to flux the board up. I'm going to flux it up. And we know that this third one up is the one that's not getting any continuity. So we need to do a little bit more work on that one. So very important this is to make sure you check your work after you've done it. Because especially with stuff like this, you've got no way of testing it afterwards. So I'm just going to go straight into that hole with the iron. I'm going to jab in a little bit more. Okay, I've jabbed all the way into there now with that iron, and hopefully we've got that solder that's flowed through the hole now. So let's just try again. I'm going to move that out of the way. We know it was number 3 that wasn't making connection, so let's just go back to number 3. There we are. Number 3 on the opposite side. 1, 2, 3. See, we're still not getting continuity between that hole. Right, so I've just wedged the probes all the way through the board now. And now we're getting continuity. So I've literally wedged the probes all the way through the board to literally push that solder into the board. That's not a good enough connection. That's me making an artificial connection. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get my iron again. Now I've pushed that solder in, and I'm going to reflow that solder. See if I can get that solder that I've just pushed through the board. Need some more flux. I can tell it's starting to tell it's going a bit dried up there now. So added a bit more solder to it, and I'm going to try again. Right, let's just wedge that iron in. Okay, let's go again. So now we've reflowed that bit of solder. Now let's try again. Now if it fails again, I'm just going to keep doing this until I've got a connection that's good and strong between these layers. Don't forget, in these automotive scenarios, then these are getting a lot of vibration, these boards are. So you need to make sure that your connections are very good. There we go, so we've got a good connection there now. I'm literally just tapping it on the top. We've got a good connection there between those layers. So that's a good connection. So we've finished doing this area here now. I've just tested all of these pins down here are all getting a good connection between the board layers. So all I need to do now, just carry on with the rest of it, keep going round, and then hopefully we'll get this board fixed. So how many more have we got? We've got 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 more pads that we need to get connection between the layers. So these ones have corroded as well. Now this doesn't necessarily just have to be this board that you're thinking of this repair on. I've seen this problem occur many times on different types of boards. This is just like a common water damage repair, this is. So it doesn't have to be a Hyundai Mobis, whatever this is. So you're not limiting yourself to a particular board on this repair. You're learning how to do it for any type of repair. So here you're learning any type of repair where it's underfilled, maybe some conformal coating, and you've got through-hole vias on the board. So these through-hole vias, nice thing here is we've got 1, 2, 3 in a row. So if I can get one of these connected, chances are they all go to the same place on the other side, so I can hopefully just bridge them all across on the opposite side, because they're all going to the same pin. So if we weren't able to get connection here, the only alternative we'd have is to basically run a jumper wire between the layers of the board. So if we had to, we'd basically get a jumper wire on the top, jumper wire running through to the bottom, and then that's how we'd make our connection. But if we can do it a better way, if we can do it this way, then we want to do it this way. So this is pretty much the best, cleanest way of doing it. Because if you've got bodge wires, you've got jumper wires going between the boards, the problem you'll have is they can move themselves free, they can snag themselves. There's so many different problems that you can get with these bodge wires between the boards. So we're just going to try and do this on all of these now. So you can see there we go, that's got a connection there. That has there. Now the thing about these is I'm using my proper nano soldering station here. It's absolutely tiny. Now we're wedging this tip into that hole. These tips cost like 40 quid each, these tips do. So you know, you're not only got to think about the cost of the time to do it, you've also got to factor in the cost of replacing the tips. So on these, for example, I've probably just worn down a 40 quid tip doing this repair. So you're not going to get many repairs out of this. These one tip, you know, out of a one tip, you're going to end up having to replace it. So if you are thinking of doing these repairs yourself, try not to just factor in the cost of your time to do it. Try and factor in your parts costs as well, because they soon rack up. They soon rack up, especially with the expensive soldering stations that have got these expensive tips. So I think we've got a good bit of continuity between that one. We should be getting there with this now. So I've just wedged the tip into all of these. There we go. Right, should we try and get a little bit of continuity between these now? Let's just test over them. Let's just see if we've got, I'll try and show you on the camera what we've got here now. So where were we before there? So there we are. So we've just redone all of those 3, 4, 5. We've just redone all of those 5 there. So we're just going to test our continuity on each of those 5 now. Probably best bet first, let's just give it a clean up, because that flux is starting to go a little bit brown. Never leave burnt flux like that on there, it can alter all sorts of characteristics on the board. I know they say it's no clean flux, or easy clean, or whatever they say. A lot of this actually says no clean, they're expecting you not to clean it off the board. But I still find, even with no clean flux, you've still got imperfections and impurities, and if you leave it on, it can still corrode the board over time. So we're just going to look at these 3 here first, them 3 in a row there. So we're going to have a look on the other side of the board and see where they're going. So they appear to be going onto this ground, onto this plane here, 3 in a row. So looks like that's taking quite a bit of current probably. So I'm just going to wedge that onto here, and now let's see if we've got continuity. Yep, we have 1, 2, 3, we've got continuity there. So we're just going to move 1 down on it now, which I believe is probably this one here. Let's just test, we got continuity there, we got continuity there. And then we got this last one up here. So whereabouts is that one? It's probably this one here. This looks like ground plane, this does. This looks like it's knitting between ground planes. So we're going to just trace this back around somewhere just to find a bit of ground. That looks like it's a bit of ground on that cap there. So probably not quite so important, this one, but let's just, no, maybe it's not. It doesn't look like it should be a ground, because ground is on the opposite side, so maybe I'm mistaken there. Let's have a little look. Ah, no, it's going to be this one here. Either this one or the other one next to it. So what have we got? There we go. It appears to be that one. Now, I'm not entirely sure where that goes, because that's a through-hole via. That may be going somewhere in the middle of the board. So we've got connectivity through to the opposite side, so that would also mean that we've likely got very good connectivity through to the middle of the board as well. So I'm quite happy with that one now. So let's just have a little look, and let's see if there's any more of these through holes that might not be connected anymore. We really do want to make sure we've got them all. This one here is the final one kind of on the end of this run, so let's just test that one as well. Where are we? Potentially could be that one there. That's the one next to it, so let's just, yep, we've got connectivity there. Okay, sorry if you can't see very well, but I'm trying to get this whilst I'm doing the repair and trying to get a video of it at the same time. So yeah, hopefully you've managed to get some at least some footage of it, me doing the repair. Yeah, I do believe so there. That should now be, as long as we've got, let's just go back to Cam 4. As long as we've now got all of the pins between these two layers connected around this chip, we should now have a successful repair. I am going to have one last look before we go, and just see if there's any more of those through-hole vias that don't have any connectivity between them. Because if there's any more of them, then potentially that could cause problems. Or even if there's any of these pins on this chip here. I mean, I might be doing all of this work and this chip may have blown. You never know. You just don't know until you've actually got this back into the car again, because it's linking in with so many other components that I really can't tell whether any of these other components are blown. I could exhaustively check some of the passives, but in reality we're likely to be working, I would say, on this one. I'm going to give this a good 80% chance of working, but we're just going to check this here, make sure that looks like there's a bit of corrosion on that there, you can see. And that's all looking okay. That's all looking alright there. They're looking alright. Just check some of these through holes here. That's fine. That's looking a little bit worse for where that one. See that one down there? You can probably just about see that. I'm going to check that one, because that one looks like it's coming straight out of a connector. Power connector maybe. Now if that one's not got connectivity, then yeah, we are going to have problems. So let me just check on that one. So we're going to test from there, which is that pin on that connector. We're going to see where it goes. So we're going to go from that one on that connector through to the other side of the board. Move that out the way. Okay, we're going to try and find out where this might go now. So let me have a little look. So I'm going to go straight across here, try and put my finger on the opposite side. Looks like it's going through to this via here. Let's just test it. So we're going to go straight from one side to the other. Yeah, we've got a connection there, so we're okay. Whether you can see or not on that camera, sorry, it's a bit blurred, but yeah, we can see there's a connection being made between the two layers. So I'm going to have another little look, see if there's any more before we call this a day. Any more of these? All of those vias are looking alright. That's looking fine. All those pins seem to be soldered in still. Let's just go over to this other connector. Looked like there was a bit of corrosion there. So that pin there looks like it's taken quite a brunt of a knock there. So yeah, we got one pin there, looks like it's taken a hell of a knock, that one. Does look like it's still connected. There is some corrosion going between the two layers, between the two pins here. I don't know whether you can see that. See that corrosion there? So that might cause a minor change in resistance readings, so let's just clean that up a little bit there. Chances are it's not going to do anything, but let's just pull a bit of this away. Let's see if there's any issues going on around this leg here. This is what we want to try and check just to make sure. Then we want to just go to the other side. That one there looks like it's going straight through to the other side of the board. So we're just going to get another little check. Just see if there's any kind of damage to this side of the board. Oh, that's looking alright. It's very well conformally coated, this board is on the other side. I don't know why it's taken a knock on this side, but so what we're going to do now is we've got here, let me just zoom back out again so you can see properly. So we've got this leg here, looks a bit corroded, okay, and then we've got a couple of little legs here, looks like they're a bit corroded, okay, just them two there I would say. So what I'm going to do there, I'm just going to reflow them with a bit of fresh solder. I'm going to use quite a big iron to get a little bit of heat into it. So we're going to go straight onto here, wait for the tip to warm up. Okay, there we go, nice bit of fresh solder on there, nice bit of fresh solder. Okay, see how we're just renewing some of that solder, just on the off chance. I mean, the chances are it's absolutely fine, but just belt and braces, we want to make sure that we're getting some good connectivity here. You know, you can never go wrong just by doing a bit of this. So if there was a problem, at least we've got a chance that it's been potentially resolved before this goes back into the car again. So, you know, you never know, there might be some dry joints going on. So a little bit more flux, you can see the way it's not gone very nice there, the solder. So a little bit of flux on there, a little bit more flux. Just going to go in again now, I'm going to get some fresh solder on the tip of my iron. Okay, just going to dab that up with some fresh solder. Dab that one up, dab that one up. Okay, just dabbing them all up with some fresh solder now. Make sure we're getting some good connectivity. Some fresh solder there. Okay, then we're going to inspect them again now. And then I think this is going to be job done. I'll get this board all cleaned up and then ready to send off back to the customer. So fingers crossed. Make sure I order another soldering tip because that one's probably gone a bit blunt now. So they start off at 0.01 millimeters, these soldering tips, but when you start jabbing them into holes, then yeah, you need to keep replacing them, keep fresh on them. Always make sure you got stock of things like soldering tips and that, because you're just shooting yourself in the foot if you don't keep up on stuff like that. Because you go to do your next job and you're like, oh, I haven't got the parts for it, and then you're going to lose money. So there we are. So that, I believe, should be everything sorted now on this. Yeah, I think if we have a look at that board, that all looks fine. All those connections look alright now on there. All them connections look alright. We now should be good to go on this. Yep, we should be good to go on there. So there you are. That's just a slightly different repair to what I'd normally do. It's totally different to doing an iPhone repair or anything like that, or an iPad repair, but equally important, there's loads of other electronics out there, not just iPhones and iPads and that, and MacBooks. There's thousands and thousands of electrical items that they're all the same process. They're all exactly the same process to repair. So there we are. Thanks very much for joining me. Again, apologies, it's been such a long time since I've done the last video, but I've just been far too busy with work, and I've not had my camera set up back up again, but now I've got my camera set up, I should be able to do some more videos. So thanks very much, and have a good evening. If you want to have a look at repairs that we do, go to www.bitrepairs.com and have a little peek at our repair services. Not everything's on there. If the repair you want's not on there, just send us an email across, WhatsApp if you've got my WhatsApp number, or get in touch on mobile or text message. Thanks very much, and I will catch you next time.